Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. So for today's video, as you can see, of course I still want to talk about Christmas and whatnot. Of course, talk about the movies, my Christmas movie marathon. As you see me play Star Wars, with this Star Wars game with Air Force, again, I'll post a link down below for his YouTube channel if you want to see some more video game stuff and whatnot. So if you want, of course. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. Let's blow some shit up and whatnot. And as I've said in the previous three videos of this video series I've been doing here, he's on the top and on the bottom here. So here we are, just gonna just fight and whatnot as I talk. And yeah, like I said before, just him and I, we went to see Star Wars: The Force Awakens during Christmas. Yes, I'm using that as an excuse to bring this up during my Christmas movie marathon, despite the fact that the film itself has nothing to do with Christmas. But I'm gonna slip it in there anyway, just because of that. So, but there you go. I guess that's my justification for this. I guess. So there you go. Anywho, but yeah, we enjoyed the film as I said before. Yes, despite the controversy that surrounded this film, it was still pretty good. And like I said, it was definitely one of the highest grossing films of the year. I mean, yes, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really matter to some extent because I mean, kind of does, but kind of doesn't at the same time because the Transformer movies, the films that Michael Bay had done, they are terrible. They are terrible, but they all did fairly well. So yes, bad movies can make a lot of money. So that's a fact. But anyway, I'm not trying to say that to slander this film, the Force Awakens, because I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just pointing that out. That's all. So just because he made a lot of money does not necessarily mean itself is high quality. Sure, of course, you can put that argument here. But anyway, there's been plenty of bad movies that make a truck ton of money, and like James Cameron's Titanic, I didn't care for it really. And then there was the Terminator 3. I didn't like that one very much. And then there's also Terminator Salvation. I didn't like that one either. But those two movies did fairly well, of course. But anyway, oh, I didn't like Avatar. Avatar 1 and 2. I didn't think those were particularly good by any means, but they made a lot of money, though. They made a lot of money. So there was that. Anyway, but that's kind of the thing, though. So, of course, when it comes to talking about mainstream movies, yeah, most of the time I don't enjoy them really. I mean, there's some exceptions, obviously, but yeah, I did think that this was definitely a crazy adventure to be had with these characters. Of course, I did think that this was definitely a good movie. So yes, what I'm trying to get at is that I never understood as to why a lot of people felt that it ruined their Star Wars memories or whatever. That's just so ridiculous. It's laughable. Get over yourself. Oh boy, Star Wars is still Star Wars regardless who directed it. Why does that matter? I don't get it. Because I don't get that a lot of people just praise the movies of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, depending on who you ask, but then just bash these movies. I don't get it. It's still Star Wars. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, regardless of who directed it. George Lucas did not direct every single Star Wars movie in existence, so he was not behind every book. He was not behind every video game. He didn't have a hand in a lot of the stuff that would belong to Star Wars. At least not direct. He didn't write the books. Anyway, it just seems ridiculous. But anyway, just want to say that yes, I did enjoy Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So did Air Force. But one thing I would definitely say that I kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity is that yes, and yes again. They were going to imply, it was heavily implied, I mean, that they wouldn't include the elements of the LGBT plus community. Yeah, that was going to be in the trilogy, and yes, it was strongly hinted at. And which, of course, was going to start with Star Wars: The Force Awakens and then be expanded upon in the following two films. But as to why they didn't, I have no idea. The director of Force Awakens was the same individual who worked on Rise of Skywalker. So for the Last Jedi, it was done by somebody completely different. But yes, the Force Awakens did receive quite a bit of controversy because of the fact that it would include such elements. So a lot of people felt that was too bizarre, which yes does seem rather homophobic in a lot of ways. But anyway, so the director was trying to kind of retcon that with The Last Jedi. He trying to kind of like push that to a side like it never happened or whatever, which is completely moronic. So yeah, then we're going to include that in the movie. So it was hinted at, sure, but that's about it. It was just hinted at, and it didn't go further. So I just it's just I don't know. It just seemed weird. What can just this kind of thing be allowed in Star Wars? I have no idea. Why not? I mean, I know some people just come up with some stupid excuse or whatever, but still, that still doesn't explain anything. That's why it shouldn't or whatnot. Just because you're not comfortable in it does not mean it can't be there. I mean, yes, we got a real brief glance at it in Rise of the Skywalker, sure, but that was just a small, teeny, itsy bitsy, teeny tiny taste of what could have been. And just I just thought, come on, this is just ridiculous. What's so yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand as to why this kind of representation is somehow a bad thing. As they have to express various sexual identities being introduced in this kind of thing is somehow a bad thing, which, of course, like I said a moment ago, there's no explain as to why it was a bad thing, apparently. I mean, you mean to tell me that every single character, there's like a number of different species of aliens, so there's a bunch of humans and whatnot. There's like thousands and thousands upon hundreds of thousands of planets in Star Wars in various galaxies. And you mean to tell me you're going to assume that they're all going to be straight? That in itself is absurd. Not literally every single character in the Star Wars expanded universe is going to be straight. Just like every human being in existence, whether it existed right now or before or going to be, it's going to be straight either. And a lot of people just took this as a notion that it was anti-straight. Like, where the hell did you get that from? I don't know. All I want to do is have go to the movie theater and have some fun. Putting these characters in said movie does not take away your fun from watching Star Wars movies. Representation is very important. Obviously, you do have to think about execution. There should be more to these characters than that, obviously, of course. But anyway, I just find it odd that a lot of these individuals who complain about this or complain that it's political, it's political. Oh, you're making it political. Okay, like I said before, like a number of different times, Star Wars was always political. Star Wars has been political from the get go. But besides that, the LGBT individuals and the supporters didn't have to make it political, but it was Christians who made it political. And they had to fight back. So in other words, you played yourself. The reason they're acting like this is the very reason as to because they were pretty much more censored. They're pretty much put back in the back corner, so to speak, in the back burner. And for a good while, good long while, it was considered illegal for these individuals to get married. Now who's making it political? So like, come on, doesn't make no sense. I don't know. You have to create new opportunities for this kind of characters. Yes, even this was released during Christmas time. This is not an attack towards this holiday. Just throwing it out that this is not an attack on Christmas. Okay, just making that perfectly clear. This is not an attack towards Christmas. All right, I'm not trying to attack Christmas. I'm not trying to destroy Christmas. I'm not trying to ruin Christmas for anybody. If you enjoy Christmas and this holiday, fine. That's good for you. Whatever. But if anybody out there takes this as if it was a stab towards Christmas, that's on you. I'm not saying to destroy Christmas. I'm not saying to cancel Christmas forever. But if that's how somebody takes it, that's on you, not I. Because that is projecting too much. I'm not here to ruin your family. I'm not here to ruin your fond memories of Star Wars. I'm not here to ruin your fond memories of Christmas when you were young. Bottom line, I'm not here to ruin your nostalgia. Okay, I'm not here to ruin your nostalgia. Yes, I know that's a word I keep bringing up in my videos. I know, but I'm not here to destroy any of that. If you have fond memories of Star Wars, fine, whatever. You have fond memories with family, fine. If you have fond memories of Star Wars when you watch it much younger, fine, whatever. That's fine. That in itself is not a bad thing. I'm not saying you can't have good memories, and I say I can't. And I'm not saying you can't have good new memories. Like right now, I'm not. Christ. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain myself, but I know people want to take what I say out of context, as people often does. So anyway, it just seems well odd that people just think that and whatnot. Gay people do not want to destroy Star Wars. Gay people don't want to destroy families. Gay people don't want to destroy Christmas. They just want to express themselves during this holiday just like everyone else. That's it. It's not that difficult. It really isn't all that difficult when you think about it. It just seems kind of odd. People just take it as such a way for whatever bizarre reason. So, so watching The Force Awakens, what I'm trying to get at, looking back, it's kind of bittersweet in that regard. It makes me wonder what could have been. That's what I'm trying to say. It makes me wonder what could have been, what could have existed, what could have been played out throughout the entire series, at least for this trilogy in a way. Could have opened the doors for a lot more. And no, I'm not talking about fan fiction or fan art where two characters get along, if you know what I mean. But that fan fiction doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to include that or whatsoever. Because it's called fan fiction for a reason. It's called fan fiction for a reason when you think about it. I don't know. It just seems kind of odd to me that people get so uppity with this kind of a thing. I don't understand. But anyway, like I was saying, yeah, would could have been hooked up with another woman? I don't know. But from what I heard, definitely Poe, excuse me if I butchered his name, I probably did. And Finn could have have a relationship. Could Ray be part of that relationship, like a three-way kind of a thing? I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is that there's a number of ways they could have done it. There's a number of ways they could have actually done this kind of a thing to come off more open-minded. Because this ain't the 1950s anymore, Though probably back then they probably done some freaky deaky stuff too. So I'm not gonna judge here really. You do you, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, this kind of just seems like a missed opportunity for this kind of a thing. There's so many things they could have done here. I don't know. Of course, it has to be important to the plot. Of course, don't do it just for the sake of it. Of course, make sure it actually amounts to the story. Has some good writing, obviously, for all that jazz. Obviously, that's needed, regardless of the character's sexual orientation or gender identity. You're gonna need a good story anyway, regardless of any of that. Just doesn't matter. You're just gonna need a good story anyway. Yes, ultimately, that's what I want, really, if I'm be honest here. Ultimately, I want a good story, really, regardless of all that. But I don't know. It's just me, I guess. I don't know. It just seems weird that a lot of people make this entire thing really really uptight, or whatnot. So as long as people are happy, just leave them alone. I don't know. It just seems odd that people complain about this kind of thing. Again, like I just said a moment ago, helping the LGBT plus community and being a lesbian or what have you, it's not the same thing as attacking Christmas, like at all. Like some people over here have thought that like somehow it's going to destroy this holiday, which is completely stupid. When you think about it, like what?
Doing another face to face with me, and it is Thursday, April 1st, and I actually went home a little bit ago because I live pretty real close to the church here, and one of my kids tried to stick something on the back of my jacket because it's freezing here today. It was snowing earlier, which is really weird. Got this sudden Arctic blast, and they said Happy April Fools to me, and I said, isn't it nice that even the atheists get their own holiday? And Lily was like, huh? So, well, Psalm 14, verse 1, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. So April Fool's Day is the day that atheists can feel included and have their own holy day, even though they don't think anything is actually technically holy, not even human beings or human life or mosquitoes, maggots, aardvarks, or grass. It's all the same. Rocks and trees are of the same value in that worldview. So, well, I actually have been pretty busy here lately, and there's a fellow here at church that says he likes to listen to this. So you know who you are. Your initials are EN. So if you're driving around, he said he likes to listen to this when he's driving around on Thursdays at 3. So I felt bad. We canceled it last week. Well, I didn't really have anything queued up to go through.
I don't know since when atheists have their own holiday. Oh, I see. You get the whole April Fool's thing and atheism. You're trying to do a thing here. Ha ha ha. You're not funny, pal. I mean, of course, I've spoken about this guy before. He would just ramble on and on and on and on. I'm not going to shut the whole thing of his podcast here. I just want to give you an idea how these kinds of people have the mindset like Christmas is under attack somehow. And again, no, Jesus Christ has nothing to do with Christmas, of course. And people would take offense to this, like I said before in my previous videos, that just the fact that Star Wars The Force Awakens was released during Christmas, that in itself was some attack towards Jesus. I don't see the connection here. But okay, just seems rather odd that they will have this kind of mindset here. I don't understand this.
3. So I felt bad. We canceled it last week. Well, I didn't really have anything queued up to go through. I do have an email from a lady that's I've corresponded with her. She's got friends who have been roped into the New St. Andrews College, Moscow, Idaho, Cannon Press, Doug Wilson Federal Vision cult, and have apparently moved out there or something, and which is sad. Actually, as I recall, yeah, I did. I sent this individual a copy of Historic Christianity and the Federal Vision by Dewey Roberts, which I actually put a reminder. I am going to continue reading that. I want to read the entire book on YouTube because I think it really is, of all the books out there on the Federal Vision, I think it really is one of the best, I mean, if not the best expose of the fact that the Federal Vision is not another flavor of historic covenant theology. It is not another trajectory of Calvinism or anything of the kind. It's not confessional. It's not what the 16th century Reformation was about. And it is...
Well, yes, people who are lesbian, bisexual, what have you, will have more rights nowadays compared to back then. That doesn't mean the United States is under attack by any kind. That in itself is just a ridiculous assumption that they don't care about the family. That's just absurd in its own. I'm not saying people have to have families. I'm not saying people have to have a bunch of kids. That's pretty much up to them, really. That's up to them if they want to have a bit of kids, really. It's totally up to them. I personally don't want to force them to do anything, obviously. But that's how a lot of these people feel like, oh, the LGBT plus community is forcing me to do this and that, which of course they're not. That doesn't exist at all. It's just a made up problem. That's it. It's a made up problem they're trying to explain here. You can't even enjoy the holidays really because they're doing something going to attack them. I mean, I know they're going to make the same argument like I just said. Oh, I just want to enjoy the holidays. So does everyone else. You're the one that's made a whole fuss about nothing.
outworking of our view of infant baptism or anything like that. The Federal Vision is looking at grace as objective in exactly the same way as Pelagius did, and Celestius did, and the Semi-Pelagians did, and still do to this day. We don't believe that grace is objective as if it works magically through baptism or anything like that. There is no objectivity of the covenant or any other such nonsense as that. There's the subjective grace of God. That is the only way in which sinners are saved. You, as a subject, have to have the supernatural new birth done by God. So
There you go again, just rambling on and on and on, just rambling on and on about nothing. This is nothing. It's literally nothing. So what are you rambling about exactly?
you're not saved, and you're not going to heaven. So very, very important stuff there. But this individual also asked to share some bibliography and stuff about covenant theology, the best arguments for infant baptism, the best arguments for postmillennialism, about and other things about the Sabbath. I want to focus since there apparently is anybody. Oh, okay. There's 6 people watching. Nobody has chimed in on the chat thing. That must mean people are actually listening to me. That's cool, because sometimes I'll be talking and
Again, you're rambling on. You're rambling on and you're rambling on about nothing. Maybe it's because people are listen to you because you're saying something stupid, which you are. That's why I'm here and that's why I'm listening, because you're saying something stupid. Just so I'm gonna throw a counter argument against you.
so 7. There's 7 now. 7 people. In my mind, I always think that just is like that means like 7 million people are watching or something like that. But seriously, it's well worth it, even for the 7 and for the people that will watch this later. If you want to really understand covenant theology, I would recommend that you get a copy of Robert Raymond's New Systematic Theology of the Christian Faith. It's actually, that is the title of it. It's called A New Systematic Theology of the Christian Faith, the second edition. And read the section called On the Unity of the Covenant of Grace. I actually did a 4-part.
I don't care. I'm not gonna cover that at all. Because people like him, like I would keep saying for like the third time, would just ramble on and on and on and on and on about a whole lot of nothing. And it takes them forever to get to the point. When in reality, it means nothing because they never had a point to begin with.
At the end of Exodus chapter 2, I did a 4-part series on the unity of the covenant of grace. Yeah, lukewarm no more. I saw your email about Tim Keller. The thing is, I've never really read anything by Tim Keller. And I had a friend who was a student at Westminster Seminary in Philadelphia who said to me once, Tim Keller's awesome. Now, that was in the year like 2005, I think. And so I was like, I'd never even heard of the guy in 2005. So I went out on the internet and found his church and found their website and downloaded several sermons because this guy told me he was an awesome preacher and I needed to hear him. And I listened to 4 or 5 sermons, and I was not particularly impressed. It wasn't exactly hard hitting. He's very he's not to me. There's not a whole lot of pathos.
Oh, which is it? 4 or 5? I hate when people do that. Oh, it's 4 or 5 or 8. Whatever. I hate when people trying to do like something like that. You got to be super specific, and because it doesn't help your argument like at all. Okay. Why does it matter anyway? I don't know.
Impressed. It wasn't exactly hard hitting. He's very he's not to me. There's not a whole lot of pathos in his delivery, and I don't, for my part, understand preaching without pathos, without passion. I don't understand that, and I was not overly impressed with the content. Another thing I thought was a little off. Listening, I remember I would download those sermons onto my gadget, and I would go to the YMCA there in Fairfield, Ohio. And I remember those days I was listening to Tim Keller preach, and a woman kept doing the scripture reading. And I thought, I don't think that's a good idea. Women aren't supposed to have those kinds of roles in the worship service. And I know, of course, that's going to make me all sorts of friends and get me lots of nice, wonderful letters from people or emails of anybody that hears me say that. But I don't think.
Okay, that's incredibly sexist, right there. So women can't do Bible studies or anything, or unless there's a man around. Again, incredibly sexist. Oh boy, women just want to enjoy Christmas too. You know that, right? Everyone just wants to enjoy Christmas, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
And so I thought immediately, so there's that issue, but then I just wasn't impressed with the doctrinal content and the passion with which he preached, and I felt the gospel was not really a big part of his message. So, Keller, I've never read any of his books. I've seen videos of him where he was on the campus of some like Ivy League school or something, and he was pitched, I mean, a meatball question that any Christian would know immediately how to answer, and it was kind of like the person questioning him really pushed him to try to figure out the answer. Like the guy that asked the question knew the answer about who goes to heaven. Does anyone outside the Christian faith go to heaven and stuff like that? Let's see. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. Maybe I can play it and you can actually hear that.
Oh, holy hell, man. Oh, mate. Come on, you're not even prepared. You're not even prepared to do this. Oh, let me find this. I don't have to find this. Have to look for this. Shouldn't you have done this prior recording this little sermon podcast thing? Which you clearly didn't, like at all. But okay, you're just going to go ahead and do that. Okay, you're just going to fumble around, do your whatever you're doing here. Come on.
What do Christians have against homosexuality? Okay, so yeah, this was one of them. He's done this a bunch of times, like really waffled on the gospel, like really handed an opportunity to be real clear and not being clear about things.
Haha, we're funny. Says the person that makes it complicated for everyone else. People like you are making things complicated for its own sake. So it's funny that you would say something like that. But okay, whatever. This is just dumb.
To understand. So let me see if I can cue this up here without trying to play an ad or something goofy. Here at first.
I wrote a book about the gay rights movement because I was appalled by the oppression and the discrimination against homosexuals.
Okay, so here you have some person here. Who is this? It's out of Veritas for Columbia University. Okay, Professor Eisenbach and Tim Keller. So this guy wrote a book on homosexuality because he was appalled at the oppression and the mistreatment of these poor homosexuals. Of course, that raises the question: is there such a thing as homosexuals? And there is not. Anyway, so let's get this here.
In my America, and this questioner asks, what do so many of the churches have against homosexuals? And
as I said multiple times before, Christian claims, well, a good chunk of them anyway, claim that this is a Christian nation, which it isn't. And no, not my America, blah, blah, blah. Just because they show part lesbians and whatnot, just somehow it's attacking your personal values. What are you talking about? That makes no sense.
Do so many of the churches have against homosexuals? And
there's no such thing as homosexuals. That first, Keller needed to stop him right there and say, you are operating with a fictitious category called sexual orientation. What does the church have against homosexuals? What can the church have against a fictitious category? There are no homosexuals. Any more than are there pedophiles, zoophiles, people that like animals. People use the exact same arguments that this guy is using and speak in exactly the same way about every kind of vile, disgusting filth that you can imagine, and some that you might not even want to imagine. And so the entire universe of discourse is...
Again, like I mentioned before, and various other videos as well, is that this is a non-existent problem. At all, what you're saying here doesn't exist. It's a non-issue issue. If anybody is making a problem out of nothing, it's you. It's not the liberals, it's not the Democrats, no, it's not the lesbians or what have you. It's not the trans women or whatever. It's people like you. They just want to have a good time during Christmas. That's it. Hell, let's watch a Star Wars movie instead.
Ought to be arguing for that homosexuality is a real thing, that sexual orientation is a real thing. He doesn't. He just assumes what all liberals assume and what our whole society assumes, and amazingly, what most of the church assumes. But let's see if Keller is able. I remember this video. It's one for the ages.
What about your church's approach to homosexuality? Is it a sin? Are they going to hell?
Let's talk about my church first, which will be a little easier than try to answer for all the other churches of the world. But I'll try. And I'm representing all the churches of the world, all right? You know?
But Christianity, I mean...
Yeah, I know. Well, let's start with mine.
You go to the Bible quite often, and there are many evangelicals who will say it is listed as a sin in the Bible,
right.
and these people are going to hell.
Right now.
Okay, it is listed as a sin in the Bible, and these people are going to hell.
How is it a sin? How? How in what specific way is a sin? The typical thing I will often hear is that, oh, they can't reproduce, can't make babies. You realize there's more ways to skin a cat, right? So they technically still could.
In the Bible, and these people are going to hell.
Right now.
Okay, it is listed as a sin in the Bible, and these people are going to hell. Well, I would question his use of the category homosexuals as if intrinsically, inherently, biologically, that's just what they are. See, what someone needs to do is learn to push back. So what do you guys think of pedophiles? What do you think of zoophiles? And what do you think of all these other weird ophiles that are out there? Are you bigots against them? Or are you okay only with homosexuality? Or are you okay with all of them? Be consistent. They never are.
What you first...
It's really creepy that you care enough to find out who is sleeping with who. So God is going to condemn these people to hell because they're lesbian or gay or whatever. That seems like a pitiful God. So you mean to tell me God is a pity God? That's a human flaw. That sounds like what you want. You want them to burn in hell. That's not what God wouldn't want that. And again, they can still make babies, you know. This still can happen. Oh boy.
Tim, you know the answer, okay? You need to answer the question directly. It's funny, when John MacArthur is on Larry King Live and he's asked questions, he answers with the words of the apostles of Christ and the prophets from the Bible. He does not care. And you see, you know, Keller here, I mean, listen to this.
Bible, and these people are going to hell.
Right now. What you... First... let's talk about my church again. Let's go back here. What we would say is, I think it's unavoidable. I think most Protestant and Catholic and Orthodox Christians over the years have said, you read...
Protestant, Catholic, and Orthodox Christians. Well, I thought the Reformation was over the gospel, and that if you don't have the biblical... Why even get it? Why even get into it?
Bible, and the Bible has reservations. The Bible says homosexuality is not...
Again, none of this makes any sense. If you don't want to bother to get into it, yet you get into it. Because you don't want to bother explaining yourself. I saw what you did there. You pretty much stopped yourself halfway through because you're about to bring up specific passages of the gospel to go against lesbians and whatnot. And you just you're mumbling. You're mumbling. I can't understand you when you mumble. You're going senile or something? You don't want to get into it. Why get into it? You just kind of do yourself right there. You seem, Christian, like you're so judgmental, which is why y'all get a bad rap.
Bible, and the Bible has reservations. The Bible says homosexuality is not God's original design for sexuality.
The Bible has reservations? Well, that is certainly an interesting way. I've never read the account in Genesis 2 about marriage. God made a man. He made the Hebrew term ish, and then he made an isha, a woman, a female, and then created marriage. I've never looked at something outside of that as, well, the Bible has reservations about homosexuality. Seriously? What a terrible way. Listen to that again.
As reservations, the Bible says homosexuality is not God's original design for sexuality.
Okay, you still haven't explained as to why being a lesbian is a sin. You still have not explained. You just spin out verses like, oh, in Genesis this and Genesis that. Oh, in this part of the Bible said this and this part of the Bible said that. You're going all over the place. I mean, funny thing you say like that because people like you, Christians, well, some of them anyway, are perfectly okay with slavery. And you said the same exact thing about that. Now you say the exact same thing about lesbians. So what's wrong here exactly? What are you talking about?
The word means abomination. Okay, it has reservation. No, it says it's a sin. And 1 Corinthians chapter 6 says that unrepentant people who engage in that kind of activity, just like unrepentant people who engage in idolatry or fornication or stealing or adultery or whatever, they go to hell too. Okay, so no. The 10 Commandments, are those the 10 reservations? God has reservations about you killing people. He's got reservations about you having other gods. I mean,
Why does God have to have super strict rules? And the whole "thou shalt not kill" thing. A lot of you Christians are perfectly okay with murder, so you're fibbing right there. That's a fib. A lot of you Christians are perfectly okay with killing. Kevin Swanson said himself he doesn't mind if gay people get killed off. So look it up if you don't believe me.
about you killing people. He's got reservations about you having other gods. I mean, it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. Where is the clarion call from the church to give straightforward answers to the culture, even if that means that, what's his name, Professor John Eisenbach might in a further edition of his book, have a chapter about you and how oppressive you are or something? Who cares what these people think about us?
You have it. The Bible also says love your neighbor. The Bible also, in fact, the Good Samaritan parable, which is how Jesus tells us to love our neighbor, you put a Jew and a Samaritan there. So what Jesus is trying to say is everybody is your neighbor. Gay people are your neighbors.
No, Tim, stop. Don't use that terminology. Gay people are your neighbors. There's no such thing as gay people. I mean, if you're going to say gay people...
Okay, what does having sex with animals have to do with anything? And that's what a lot of these Christians would do. They're trying to compare someone being gay to a crime like murdering somebody, or in this case, bestiality. Just anything, or robbery, stealing money, or you mistreating your neighbor or whatever in some kind of fashion. That tells you they have no point. They're trying to use as a comparison when there's no evidence, really. And they know that. They know there's no evidence. So they're trying to attach the LGBT community to this ABC. So, okay, that's a nonsensical point, but there you go.
They have sex with animals. They're your neighbors too. No, these are not intrinsic, inherent biological things. Okay? There is such a thing. See, what someone should ask this professor, I would love to ask him, sir, is there such a thing as perversion? I mean, could you look at someone and say that what they're into or what they do makes them a pervert? Do you believe that that's possible? Is sexual perversion possible in your worldview? I would love for someone to ask these liberal professors questions like that. Is it possible in your world to be a pervert? I think if they're consistent, they would have to say, no, can't be a pervert.
People who are of other faiths are your neighbors. People of other races are your neighbors. And it's the job of a Christian to do what Jesus did on the cross, which was to give himself for people who were opposing him and people who didn't believe in him even.
What on earth? How do we get to our job is to give ourselves for people that are opposing us? No.
I mean, yes, okay, yeah, no matter what you say, even if you have the best interest of helping people, yes, that is true. Somebody's always going to have arguments with it. Some people also want to say something against you, no matter what you said. That's true. But the problem here is that you are a bigot. You're somebody that's closed-minded. You're sexist and homophobic. I mean, yes, like I just said, people will spread lies about you, no matter how nice you are. Yeah, true. But that's the thing, though. You are doing that right now. You are spreading lies about someone else who has done nothing to do to you. Lesbians and other gay people just want to exist, enjoy the holidays. That's it.
Jesus said, blessed are you when all men hate you because of me. And he said all men will hate you because of me.
And so a Christian is supposed to say, I serve the needs and interests of all of my neighbors in the city, whether gay or straight, whether they're Hindu or Muslim.
Well, that's a complete lie right off the bat. Because of the fact that, unless they're lesbian, right? I mean, a lot of you Christians, like I said in my previous video, took issue with the fact that Star Wars took inspiration from Japan. And now you're going to have issues with people enjoying holidays? Give me a break.
Whether gay or straight, whether they're Hindu or Muslim.
Tim, there's no such thing as gay or straight. God makes men and women. And they are designed by God intrinsically, inherently, and biologically to be either a man or a woman, and that includes the sexual function of the parts. And the parts don't work that way. What do you mean, whether you're gay or straight? We cannot use the world's way of describing this stuff. If you let them define the terms of the debate, it's over. The debate is lost. He should have challenged every single assumption behind that question. And not doing this. This is terrible.
I mean, Hindus, for example, don't believe in the Trinity. It's a different view than what the Bible says.
Hindus don't believe in one God. They're either pantheistic or polytheistic. Okay.
Will have a different view of sexuality than.
Okay, I still don't see what's wrong with supporting lesbians and gay men or what have you for wanting to enjoy the Christmas season. You're not here to destroy the Christmas season. It's not your business. It's none of your business anyway, like at all. So why do you care so much? I don't know. I mean, I know these Christians are trying to play off like, oh, I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to save you from sin. That's one of the most condescending things out there because, oh, I just want to help you. I just want to save you from sin, but you won't listen to me. What? That's extremely gaslighting. You're trying to make it as if that you're trying to make the individual question their life choices. Not that I'm trying to imply being gay is a choice because it isn't. But it's none of your business either way. Either way, it's none of your business. Like at all. Why do you specifically care? Did they do something to you? What happened? Of course, you're not going to get into it. People like you keep bringing up this or that. Just a bunch of other mumbo jumbo that has nothing to do with this, like whatsoever. I don't get it.
At this point, I see some churches that are basically ignoring the places in the Bible that talk about homosexuality in order to love their.
There you go, lying again, because that's not what's going on. Some churches are more accepting of gays than others, sure, but you're lying.
In order to love their gay neighbor. And I see other.
You don't have gay neighbors. You have individuals that have given themselves over to the practice of certain sins, but they're human beings made in the image of God. It's not healthy to define someone as a particular sin. I mean, we don't do that. Our culture does not do this with thieves. You have adulterous neighbors. You have thieving neighbors. You have thieves.
So being a lesbian or being a gay male is equal to a thief? Don't you realize that gay people and lesbians and whatnot have been around even before you were even born? They have their own culture. What are you talking about?
Neighbors. You have thieving neighbors. You have thieves.
Really? There you go, lying again. Lying. So being gay or being a lesbian is equal to thievery. How exactly? You haven't explained it.
You have idolaters as neighbors. The only thing we do it with is this particular form of sexual perversion, and I say it should not get that kind of license.
So you're telling me that a lesbian is going to come to my place and steal my Christmas present? Is that what you're implying? What? That's so dumb.
People not as the kind of gross, disgusting, unnatural, dangerous sexual deviance they're into. You speak about them as human beings, as men and women made in the image of God.
Christian churches taking very seriously what the Bible says about homosexuality, but in a very self-righteous way. So they actually do single out gay people. I mean, there are a number of conservative churches that will love their Hindu neighbors and will love their Muslim neighbors and not their gay neighbors. And I really don't think there is any excuse for that. So that's what's it. I mean, I
Notice he skirted the question. The guy wants to know, do you think that people that are gay are going to hell, and is it a sin? And Tim Keller just talked for several minutes and did not answer his question. So as I recall, this guy's going to really press him again.
Therefore, I have to.
Yeah, I think it's just in here. Like I said, folks, I'm not going to show the entire podcast because that's basically how this runs, his entire thing. He never answered anything. Like at all, him or whoever he's talking to. Nobody's answering anything. So yeah, I still like Star Wars The Force Awakens. It didn't bother me that it was released during Christmas. And it's fine if they have gay characters. So what? So anyway, until next time, I guess. As always, thanks for watching and take care.